welcomes you with love. Come with joy and come with sorrow. He welcomes you with love. God welcomes us all with love. He never turns away those coming. He welcomes you with love. He never turns away those calling. He welcomes you with love. He never turns away a seeker. He welcomes you with love. God welcomes us all with love. His arms stretch wider than our failures. He welcomes you with love. And no past fault pulls off the Savior. He welcomes you with love. Jesus, He is so much greater. He welcomes you with love. God welcomes us all with love. His heart is kind, His love is patient. He welcomes us with love. And there's no need for fear or acting. He welcomes you with love. His hands, they offer warmth, inclusion. God welcomes you with love. God welcomes us all in love.
A very warm welcome to you who have joined us this morning at the house. For those of you who may be new here, the house is an online house church. We sometimes meet together on Saturdays for an event called Shabbat at the house, during which we share stories, music, and community together. My name is Natalie Kendel. I am pastor here at the house, and I will be your host for today. Today's Shabbat at the house is going to be a little different from our usual event. We won't have our typical longer story or presentation. This is a more low-key time. An opportunity to check in, to consider where we are, and to ground ourselves in who we'd like to be in the coming year. During other weeks, we mostly stream over on our YouTube channel, and it's been a while since we've been here on Zoom. But if you'd like to go and check out our other events and stories, you can visit our channel at youtube.com at the house. Even though things are a little different, we hope that this will still be a meaningful time and space this morning. We are going to be sharing music, meditation, prayer, silence, and a devotional thought. And later on, we will have a candle lighting together. So if you remember to bring your own candle, you can join us in this lighting. And then at the very end, we're going to have a time for connection. You don't need to stay for this part, but if you'd like to, it's an opportunity to chat and connect with each other or share something that might be on your mind. There'll be space for that at the end. And that's a bit of what you can expect from your time together with us this morning. Please be aware that we do not expect you to have your camera on. You don't have to socially interact or speak during this time unless you want to. We know that some value their privacy. We know that Zoom fatigue is real, and it can be nice to have a space that doesn't demand performance from you, but that you can still come and be a part of. So, without further ado, let's get started. Our theme for this morning is light in the darkness. It will be divided into 3 sections, or 3 chapters, if you will: remembrance, recentering, and recreation. Let us now begin with the first part, remembrance. Tomorrow is the last day of the year. Soon 2024 is upon us, and although such a marcation of time may be artificial, there is value in taking stock of things, to reconnect with oneself, consider where we are, where we've been, and what's happened. Tomorrow night, many people will be celebrating New Year's Eve with all the usual trappings of fireworks and resolutions. But here at the house, we won't be doing that. Instead, we'll be marking the turn of the year by first remembering. Today, we remember the injustices born out of white supremacy, out of racism, capitalism, which has played out across the globe this year. We have looked the evil of our empires in the eye and seen its ugliness. We remember the men, women, and children and animals that have been killed in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Jerusalem. We remember the long oppression of the Palestinian people. We remember the Palestinian genocide at the hands of the Israeli occupational forces that has lasted over 75 years and is still happening at this very minute. We remember the lives taken. We remember the apathy of our friends. We remember the silence of our leaders. We remember the betrayal of inaction. We remember how we have struggled through watching this tragedy unfold. Angela Davis wrote, "We live in a society of an imposed forgetfulness, a society that depends on public amnesia. All oppression relies on moral amnesia, a collective forgetfulness, in order to carry out its deeds over and over again. Cruelty's first tactic is not persuasion, it is distraction. Much suffering has been allowed to not only take place, but be drawn out because of the privilege that the white West has of being allowed to forget. Therefore, remembering is an act of resistance. Remembering what has been done here, remembering the true story, tell it to yourself, tell it to others. We begin by remembering. Let us now say together, we remember the stories of the oppressed. We remember what has happened to our Palestinian brothers and sisters. We remember the truth even when others deny it. Over this past year, you may have also experienced personal losses, personal tragedies and defeats, and painful shifts. Sometimes these are hidden inside us, unfolding in ways that no one else can see on the outside. But they can be no less devastating than the death of a loved one. Perhaps you lost friends in 2023 over Palestine or for other reasons. Perhaps you lost your footing, lost part of yourself, lost the will, lost innocence, lost safety nets, confidence, old ideas, security or sureness. Because we live in a world that expertly forgets, our losses and the things that can happen to us can go seemingly unwitnessed. And there is no pain like unwitnessed pain. That pain can seem forgotten, unseen, and therefore we feel unseen. There is a value in witnessing, in refusing to deny or ignore. It is affirming to victims. Let us now share in a minute of silence as we remember the Palestinians, as we make sure that they are not unseen, and as we remember what has happened to us this year as well. In Psalm 56:8, King David writes of God, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." It paints the picture of a God who so deeply values our sorrows that he collects our tears in a bottle. No pain is unseen with him. No injustice goes unwitnessed. Even when we fail to keep track, he keeps track of our sorrows. Let us pray to the God who remembers. O God of remembrance, thank you for not letting a single event go unnoticed. You have seen the wrenching of our hearts, even as it happened in the dark, hidden places. We are not hidden from you. No moment is too small for you to care. You hold space to honor every moment. You do not look away. You do not forget. May we honor the oppressed by remembering. We will now enter into our second section, recentering. We have just had the season of Advent. The word Advent means coming or arrival, and this centers around the story of the coming or arrival of the Messiah. The birth of the King, who was promised by God, would bring justice and mercy and something new and living into a self-destructing world. Cole Arthur Riley writes, "When we talk of Advent, we're speaking the language of waiting. The tension between believing in the goodness that is to come and naming the grief and heartache of our present moment. Hope doesn't always sound triumphant. The wait is costly. It's okay to say so." Some of us may be able to relate to this tension that she speaks of here. We live in a state of longing, waiting for justice, longing for what is right, waiting for something new and better, waiting for a promise to be kept. Paul writes about this in Romans chapter 8, describing how the earth itself is groaning. It is longing for things to be put right, and those who are touched by the story of Jesus and what he's doing join in and groan along with creation. And Paul writes, the Spirit of God is described as translating our groans that we can't put into words. He translates that lament into worship, into prayer. In a hurting world, the people who worship God worship him through lamentation. I think about how the people in Judah were waiting too. They lived under an oppressive Roman Empire, and they longed year after year for the prophecy, the promise of a coming king to change things. We too live today watching as those suffering under oppressive empire wait, and we wait too. Waiting in the darkness can be difficult. But let us now take a look at what happened in the story when the waiting was finally over. In the Advent story, impossible things begin to happen. There is life where there once could be none. Elizabeth, a barren woman, becomes pregnant. There is life in impossibility. Mary conceives. And the announcement of what everyone has been waiting for, the beginning of the promises kept, is not expressed through the voices of the powerful, through those in high positions, through the religious leaders, those with titles and status. It is first expressed through the mouths of the oppressed, those thought little of, the lowly and the unconsidered. In the Advent story, we find that the men are silent. At the coming of the Messiah, men are silent. Zechariah can't speak. Joseph is silent and in the background, while it is the words and emotions of Mary and Elizabeth that take center stage, that are featured. The sound of Advent is the voice of women. The sound of Jesus coming was amplified by the neglected or marginalized voices. And here we find a recentering happening. The kingdom of Jesus is a complete turning upside down of the way our world works, of the rules of our kingdoms. The way that he does things is in itself a recentering. The last made first, the smallest lifted up, children honored, the oppressed empowered, the disregarded remembered. And when Mary goes to visit Elizabeth in Luke 1, and they both consider together how they're carrying impossible children, Mary lifts up her voice in song, and what she talks about is none other than the fall of empires. Verse 50, his mercy extends to those who revere him from generation to generation. He has performed mighty deeds with his arm. He has scattered those who are proud in their inmost thoughts. He has brought down rulers from their thrones, but has lifted up the humble. He has filled the hungry with good things, but has sent the rich away empty. Mary is here talking about the fall of empires, the bringing down of rulers from their thrones, of the breaking of oppressive powers on the earth, and the filling of the hungry. The Advent story recenters us and our vision. The gospel, the good news about Jesus, recenters. It shifts our perspectives, our priorities. It reorganizes a world. And it centers the voices and liberation of the undervalued and the oppressed. This is how his hope, his kingdom begins to arrive in the world. As we too carry his hope inside us, waiting for it to finally be born, we will see glimpses of his kingdom where the marginalized are recentered, where the oppressed are defended. We taste and see the starters of his great feast when we join in this recentering, when we, like Mary, call for the fall of empires and the feeding of the hungry and the poor. And this vision of the world will anchor us in hope for the future, because we'll be able to see it already beginning to happen now. A God who is committed to bringing health, love, laughter, and life, both to life now and in the future. Let us sing together the song In a Byre. And as we do, I'd invite you to consider this. What new thing or what new things have you perhaps felt God making in your life this year? We live in a tension between the past and a God who says, "Behold, I am doing a new thing." What new thing have you felt growing in the soil of your life? What tiny seed has burst through the surface? What life whispers in the hidden darkness? Proof that he is indeed with you and will birth your hope. Let us sing together.
In a barn near Bethlehem, passed by many a wandering stranger, the most precious word of life was heard gurgling in a manger for the good of us all. And he's here when we call him, bringing health, love, and laughter to life now and ever after for the good of us all. By the Galilean lake, where the was Gethsemane, camouflaging priest and soldier, the most precious word of life took the world's weight on his shoulders for the good of us all. On the hill of Calvary, place to end all hope of living, the most precious word of life breathed his last and died forgiving for the good of us all. And he's here when we call him, bringing health, love, and laughter to life now and ever after for the good of us all. In a garden just at dawn, near the grave of human violence, the most precious word of life cleared his road and ended silence for the good of us all. And he's here when we call him, bringing health, love, and laughter to life now and ever after for the good of us all. And he's here when we call him, bringing health, love, and laughter to life now and ever after for the good of us all, for the good of us all.
We will now enter the third and final part of the event this morning, called recreation. We talked about the hidden seeds of hope that can grow inside, that grew in Mary's womb, that grows in our hearts. But when we are surrounded by death and darkness, it is difficult to imagine any light, any good, any life being able to survive. Like a tidal wave of grief washing over us, we might worry that anything good simply cannot make it out on the other side alive. Let us read John 1. In this chapter, John too writes about the coming of the Messiah, the birth of Jesus into the world, and he calls Jesus the Word. He writes, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was the life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." God himself showed the greatest possible solidarity he could with human beings by becoming one. He shared in our oppression, shared in our suffering, and he still does. John described Jesus as the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. The darkness has not overcome it. That is the promise. No matter how great the darkness is or becomes, there is a light that cannot be snuffed out by it. And if there was any doubt as to the truth of this, death itself could not hold this light down. The light that is Jesus defies the very darkness. Darkness cannot undo it. And that means if you and I put our hope as far as we can in one who cannot be undone by the darkness around us. It means we cannot be undone by it either, not for good. The empty grave that Jesus left behind was God's promise to humanity. Jesus' resurrection is the blueprint of what God intends to do to the whole world. Resurrect it. Jesus' resurrection is proof that he can and he will, and anyone who wants part of that will be renewed as well. And until then, Jesus is the candle that will never go out, the light that shines in our darkness. You may have experienced what it's like to be in total darkness and then have one other person enter and bring just a little light, a little spark that can make all the difference in the world. It can help you hang on for one more day. That is what we can do while we wait. While we live in tension, we can be a little light, reflecting Jesus' light in the dark corners of the world. There are a million practical ways that we can shine here, that we can do this. And if you feel overwhelmed at the evils in this world, remember that it's not your job to fix the world. You'll never be able to fully do that. That task belongs to someone far greater than you, but you can be a light to someone in a tiny, dark corner of this place. Jesus said to his followers, "You are the light of the world. Let your light shine." Is that not worth spending our time and years on? Let us say together, I can be a light to someone in a tiny corner of the world. I don't have to do everything to do something. What I do and say matters. I don't have to be overwhelmed by trying to fix everything. I can shine and not be consumed. Let us now sing together, Shine a Little Light.
The times are dark and it's hard to hope, to remember what kindness can feel like. So many hands outstretched in a question, will nobody help as they pass? But every moment is another chance to shine a little light in the dark places, light up the corners where candles of hope's gone out. Shine a little light in the dark places, even the smallest of sparks interrupts the night. Each day's a new opportunity. Every person you meet's in a battle. Rise up to meet the chances around you, to love and to help where you can. And every moment is another chance to shine a little light in the dark places, light up the corners where candles of hope gone out. Shine a little light in the dark places, even the smallest of sparks interrupts the night. Who hides a lamp under a bowl? A town it shines upon a hill, and we were meant to shine as well. Arise and shine, you light of the world. and every person is another chance to shine a little light in the dark places, light up the corners where candles of hope's gone out. Shine a little light in the dark places, even the smallest of sparks interrupts the night. Shine a little light in the dark places, light up the corners where candles of hope's gone out. Shine a little light in the dark places, even the smallest of sparks interrupts the night. Come defy the night and let your light shine. Shine a little light. Shine a little light. Shine a little light.
So these were the 3 sections of our message today: remembrance, recentering, and recreation. Let this cycle of lament, reminding, and renewal cycle and recycle through our days this coming year. This is how we take care of ourselves. This is how we live in the tension between promise and fulfillment, between the light we glimpse and the coming dawn. This is how we keep going, how we keep advocating for the Palestinians and other people. We will get tired. We will have bad days. 2024 will be hard. But there is a light in the darkness guiding us through. Our hope is defiant. It isn't optimism. It isn't positive thinking. It is as unwavering and unbreakable as a king who leaves an empty tomb behind. He will break the darkness soon. Until then, have courage, be kind, relish joy, speak the truth, do what is right, love mercy, and seek justice. To wrap things up this morning, we are going now to light our candles together. So if you have your candles, you can get them out, get them ready. This is a symbolic act of remembrance, recentering, and recreation. As we share in a moment of silence after you've lighted your candle, I'll invite you to write down 2 sets of 3 things. First, 3 things that have been a light to you in the darkness this year. And then 3 ways that you can be a light to others in the coming year. 3 ideas of how you can be a light. So 3 things that have been a light to you in 2023, and 3 ways that you can be a light to others in 2024. Let us now light our candles together, and then we'll do some writing. Let's now sing together All Glory Be to Christ, set quite suitably to the melody of the New Year's song Auld Lang Syne. Should nothing of our efforts stand, no legacy survive, unless the Lord does raise the house in vain, its builders strive. So Lord, come be our cornerstone, the fortress of our life. Our dark will vanish in your dawn. All glory be to Christ. All glory be to Christ our King. All glory be to Christ. His rule and reign will ever sing. All glory be to Christ. His will be done, His kingdom come on earth as is above, who is Himself our daily bread. Praise Him, the Lord of love. Let living water satisfy the thirsty without price. We'll take a cup of kindness, yet all glory be to Christ. All glory be to Christ our King. All glory be to Christ. His rule and reign will ever sing. All glory be to Christ. When on the day the great I am, the faithful and the true, the Lamb who was for sinners slain, will make all things new. Behold, our God shall live with us, and is our steadfast light, and we shall hear His people be. All glory be to Christ. All glory be to Christ our King. All glory be to Christ. His rule and reign will ever sing. All glory be to Christ. All glory be to Christ our King. All glory be to Christ. His rule and reign will ever sing. All glory be to Christ. His rule and reign will ever sing. All glory be to Christ. Thank you so much for joining us today for this end of year gathering at the house. Here you'll see some recommended songs for the week if you're interested in some music that reflects the message of today. I'll now leave the floor open. If someone wants to chat or share a thought, an experience, their favorite recipe, please feel free. And if not, also feel free to make an Irish goodbye, and we hope to see you another time. But if anyone wishes to stay, you're very welcome to.